Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, this is Joanne Victoria, the host of the Sanity Project podcast. You, the listener, is here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, and success. And you will certainly get that explained to you from our next guest, who is Christine McAlister. Christine is the author of The Income Replacement Formula, 7 Simple Steps to Do What You Love and Make 6 Figures from Anywhere. And it's available in many formats, including Kindle, Audible, and you could find it at Amazon.com. Christine McAlister is a serial entrepreneur, business coach, and author of the aforementioned #1 bestseller, The Income Replacement Formula. In 2015, Christine founded Life with Passion, a coaching and consulting business where she helps clients all over the world make money doing what they love with only a laptop and an internet connection. Christine leads a community of over 2,000 entrepreneurs online, and over 75% of her clients are able to quit and stay out of their 9-to-5s. Christine has been featured in Inc., Business Insider, Bustle, the Huffington Post, as well as Entrepreneurs on Fire. Before founding Life with Passion, Christine ran an online marketing agency where she generated over $1 million in international leads for her luxury brand clients. Christine, her husband, and their rainbow babies live with their 2 rescue dogs and Arabian horses in Louisville, Kentucky. Welcome to the show, Christine McAlister.
I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm glad that you're here. So for those of you who want to jump off the recording right away because you're more interested in looking and reading at something than listening, Christine's website is lifewithpassion.com. Her email address is christine@lifewithpassion.com. And Christine has many things that she can discuss with you people for the next 25 or 30 minutes or so. And we're going to talk about our shared passion for mindset. So what's going on with mindset in your life, Christine?
Great question. I find that when the mindset is strong, the strategy is simple. And I find that to be true for myself and for my clients, because I think that the #1 thing that distinguishes successful entrepreneurs is the way that they think. And most of us, myself included, were trained and taught to be really good employees in school, at university, and then, of course, in our jobs. And so when we try to take that employee mentality and start our own business, we find ourselves feeling really overwhelmed and unsure because we've always had a teacher or a boss or a parent tell us how to fit into a role that would get us rewarded. And the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is there really are no rules, but that tends to freak most of us who were good students or good employees out in such a massive way that it can really cause us to get and stay overwhelmed and stuck.
Especially if you went to Catholic school.
Ooh, I went to Baptist school, so yeah, I can imagine they're similar, yes.
Very much so. I mean, you follow the rules, and their rules are there's no movement at all. There's no fluctuation, very rigid, and it's sad for a child, myself included, who went to a Catholic school for several years and wondered what I was doing there, and after I left, wondered why I wasn't back. But, there's all of these guidelines that people give us. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. In order for this to happen, this must happen. And it's not true.
Right.
Not true at all. And being an entrepreneur is a very exciting mystery.
Yes. I completely agree with you.
And no matter how well you think you know what you're going to be doing, people want to be what do they want to be? They want to be independent. They don't want a boss to tell them what to do, but they don't know that the other side of it is the rules still exist. There are still rules. So how do you help people follow the rules, to create their own rules?
Yeah, I think you and I share a passion for this, because I know you told me before the interview, this is what you help people do, right?
Amongst other things, yes. And it's really important.
Absolutely. So I believe that everybody has their own unique blend of possibilities, both in the way that they make their money, and the way that they market, and the way that they work, and how they create the freedom, right, that draws most of us to the entrepreneurial journey. So I think it is a combination of what I call your 3 Ps: your personality, your passions, and your preferences. And, the way that those all combine, create your unique possibilities. And so my job as a coach is not to try to shove you into a one size fits all. Here's the way to be an entrepreneur, because that's just going to feel like being an employee again, where someone's just telling you what to do, but to help you figure out who you are and what kind of life you want to live and how you want your business to look, and to align the way that you market, the way that you sell, the way that you serve, what you offer, to how you're built.
And I think that's more of what people need, is stepping over that line where they are so fixed based on what they were taught in school, et cetera, or if they were a prior employee, but that employee attitude, which is restrictive. But when they step over that line, I said once a long time ago, the rules are, there are no rules.
Yeah.
And whatever you want to do, you can do it. There are still constraints, because you have the government, you have taxes, you have, all sorts of things that you have to pay attention to. But there are no rules.
Right. Exactly.
And you can make your own.
Exactly.
I remember I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon. And I remember seeing him in an interview years ago when people were just dumping all over that man, saying it is never going to work. People want stuff. They want this, they want that. They have expectations, which is no different than the employee concept you were just talking about. And he was just convinced that his way was going to work. And what he did, one of the many, many things he did, was he hired the people who knew what to do. And I think that's what entrepreneurs need to do as well, is hire whoever they need to hire to help them. Yes? No?
Yes.
What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think most of us, especially like I work with service providers, right, and coaches and consultants and freelancers. And I think most of us, myself included, we start as that solopreneur, right, where we're doing everything. And I think that delegating is one of the hardest tasks for any of us to learn. And I think that it's a key skill, or otherwise you're very likely going to burn out, right? Because you get into business to do something in your zone of genius, something that you're passionate about. And then you also become your own accountant and your own marketer and your own salesperson and your own administrative assistant and your own everything. And some of those things you are not going to enjoy doing, and they're going to take, your energy and take your time away from doing the things that make you money. Right.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you. I think, hiring, Sarah Blakely said, hire your weaknesses as soon as you can afford to. Right. So hire out the things that you hate, that still have to get done, or the things that you're just not as good at, the things that you tend to procrastinate on, and you're going to grow a lot faster.
And then here we have people listening goes, I don't want to have the responsibility of having people working for me, but they don't realize that who they delegate their tasks to that they don't want to do, be it bookkeeping, writing, or whatever, is on a one-shot basis. It doesn't have to, you don't have to hire them per se. They're contractors.
Exactly. Yeah.
For the moment.
Yeah.
So talk about what you find your clients have the most problem with as newborn entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I'd say new to the entrepreneurial space are things like there are thoughts like there are already a ton of people out there doing it. There's no room for me. Who am I to teach? Who am I to help people? Who am I to do this? Right? Call that imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to sell. Selling feels icky and pushy. And I don't know if I can really help people with my unique skill set, with my unique experience. And all of those things lead to hiding out, procrastination, doubting themselves, and lack of action.
So what do you tell your clients?
Well, I think everybody has a little bit of a different core story around this, right? So sometimes we feel like we're not enough. Sometimes we feel like we're going to be judged, like we fear failure, we fear success, right? We fear criticism. And I think it's important to understand what's causing the procrastination, because it's not a character flaw. It's just an emotion, usually fear, right? That is so in our primitive brain that we can't take that strategic aligned action, because our brain is telling us basically like, you might die, right? It puts us in fight or flight. And of course, we're not going to take action from that place because our brain is trying to keep us alive. Yeah,
it's a battle. It's a battle within that we don't even recognize until we've hit a wall a few times. Or there are some people who it doesn't affect, but it affects quite a few people.
Yes.
That inner battle between the heart, the brain, different parts of the brain, from one part to the next. I know one woman who is a specialist in brain theories, says that we are born with a lead in our brain, be it because we have 4 quadrants, and the frontal left is the leadership roles, the frontal right is creative, and the other 2 I don't remember, and they're detail people in the back, those other 2 portions of the brain. But if we're born with one lead of the brain, I'll use myself as an example. I was born with a creative brain, but I functioned as a leadership brain.
Mm.
And it was a constant battle. I was exhausted because when you are in the wrong part of your brain and using the wrong part of your brain, it takes 100 times more energy to do that.
Mm.
So I was instead of leading from my frontal right and my basal left, I think I was leading from my frontal left and my basal right. I know it sounds complicated, but it isn't really. Just think of your brain, four parts of your brain. And for decades, I was working out of the wrong side of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people wind up doing is, especially when they come into entrepreneurship, whatever they want to do with it.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And that's why they can't, if somebody's creative, they don't want to do details, as you say, like bookkeeping, accounting, anything.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Exactly. Know who you are, right? And design your business around that.
Well, I think that's the biggest key, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how do you help your clients discover who they are?
Yeah. So my background when I had a regular job was I was a university professor, and then I was a career counselor. So I take those teaching and counseling skills and help them look within, look for patterns, look who they were when they were little, right? When they were less hindered by all the shoulds of society, and help them. A lot of times we've lost our passions because, again, we're fitting in that box of who we should be in order to have the good job and be happy. And we realize we wake up and say, hey, I've done all the things that were supposed to make me happy, and I'm not happy. So maybe I want a different path, right?
Right.
And I think that's what draws a lot of us to entrepreneurship, myself included. And so I think it's just as important to look at the things that we really, really dislike, right? So that we can make sure we're not inadvertently including those in our business somehow and putting us back in the same spot where we feel like we have a job, as it is to look at, okay, what are the new skills that I want to learn? What are my passions? right? How is my personality wired? Whether we use an assessment or we talk to family and friends about what they were like when they were young. There are many different ways to do it. But I think that the most important thing is that Dan Miller, who wrote 48 Days to the Work You Love, he says in that book, 85% of designing work that you love is an internal job. But most of us, I find, have it completely backwards, right? We're trying to chase somebody else's success and look at it from the outside and go, well, how did they build their business? I'm going to just try to model after that, instead of looking inward first and most, right? To go, that's the key to me creating a business that's sustainable and that I enjoy and that ultimately helps people and I stay in for a long time.
So what moved you to start Life with Passion after you had this successful online marketing agency?
Yeah. So I went through a personal tragedy, and that is what got me to look hard at my life, at what I was doing, and basically overcome my comfort zone, get uncomfortable enough, deal with my fears of judgment, failure, all these things to create work that I felt was my highest potential in the world. Mm-hmm. And that was my experience was that I unexpectedly lost my first daughter at full term. Mm. And so that tragedy, shook me up, as you would imagine, and had me basically realize that I didn't have anything to be afraid of anymore because, I can't really imagine having to go through anything worse than that.
Right.
So my fear was gone. I didn't really care what people thought anymore because I was kind of having to rebuild my life from the ground up. And I decided, I realized that I could go in the direction of hiding out in my room for the rest of my life and feeling like a victim. And I certainly understand that why people would do that, right? Going through something like that. Or I could create a legacy for myself that I was proud of and for my daughter, since she wasn't here to do it. And so that's why I pivoted and started Life with Passion 5 years ago.
So you did what you help other people do. You moved past your fear and self-doubt, and you gave up being judged by others by not caring, and this is huge. You do know that what you did was huge.
Yes. At the time, it just felt like a matter of survival, but I'm very grateful that, that this is what has blossomed out of it, because I'm impact driven first, and now I get to help others move from surviving to thriving, and there's nothing I'd rather do with my life.
God does work in mysterious ways.
Yes.
And so you have done what you ask your clients to do. You moved on from the fear, from the doubt, from the procrastination, because you had overcome, for a woman who's given birth, the worst thing that could possibly, the second worst thing that could possibly happen. The worst thing that could possibly happen, the second one being if your child had died from something else. And that took a great deal of courage.
Yeah. Yep. I was resilient, and I didn't know it until I had to be.
Well, isn't that the way, though? And that's, yet you can help your clients avoid that, if we can even say that, avoid that pain, any gross pain, and deal with themselves in a way that they can, either climb the brick wall or walk around the brick wall or make the brick wall disappear.
Right. Before they go through something terrible and have to,
Yes. Yeah. And then you make them brave enough and strong enough to withstand whatever may occur.
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Seriously, congratulations, because that's not only powerful, the words that I could use because everybody else uses the same words, but you've helped their minds grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've created new pathways in their brain and helped their minds grow so that they can create what they want in life.
Yes, to all of it.
Well, that's amazing. And that's not even a good enough word.
Well, thank you. And same to you, right? Thank you for doing the work that you do.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think we're, in some ways, there's a similarity here, but it's more of an alignment than anything else. And that's, I like to have, certainly I like to have people in my life, such as yourself, who don't have to explain themselves or be explained to. You know, you get it, quote unquote, you get it, and you can get whatever your client says to you and you can help them. So people can find you at lifewithpassion.com, and email address is Christine, Chrisistine, at lifewithpassion.com. So Christine, for today, what tips, strategies can you share with our audience so that they can take some action now if they are either procrastinating or they're afraid or they, are living in some major hell?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is to give yourself permission to start small. And I mean really, really small, because I think a lot of times we say to ourselves, oh, I need to wait till I have a whole Saturday to myself and then I'll create my website or my offer, or then I'll do whatever fill in the blank big projects we feel like we should do. But what I find is that starting is the hardest part. So if you can begin to train your brain like that you're not going to die, instead of putting the pressure on it to find a whole day, if you do that, then you probably if you do wind up sitting down, you probably are going to wind up just mindlessly scrolling Instagram or Facebook because you're overwhelmed. So instead, I recommend that you set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and just do the first, smallest, tiniest task that you could. So buy that domain name for the website, write a potential email to send to somebody who you might want to offer working with. Like the smallest, tiniest thing. When that timer goes off, if you want to stop, let yourself stop, come back to it tomorrow, because that's going to teach your brain that, hey, we didn't die. It was really uncomfortable. We could do anything for 5 minutes. And that's going to bring you a lot of relief and start to build that trust in yourself that you can follow through, and also that momentum because you will have actually done something.
Very good, people. Go get your timers. No, seriously, these are very good strategies and doable for anyone. Start small, 5 minutes at a time, and you'd be surprised how more anxious you will be to expand that time. I want to thank Christine McAlister for being here today. She's been very beneficial to you guys, so why don't you go to Apple, and when you see her podcast recording, give her 5 stars. You can also give this episode 5 stars or the Sanity Project podcast 5 stars. But this is important that you support people who are helping other people in ways that they didn't think was possible. So everybody have a great, great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.